Hi there, I'm Ian France, and welcome to my website. I wanted to do just a very quick welcome video that talks a little bit about what the site's about and what you can expect in the future. On the top of the site are really personal interests of mine. Things from a data perspective, things from a philosophical perspective, and really I'm hoping this vlogging portion will help bridge the gap between some of those two elements. And so let's get right after something here. One of the things that's been on my mind a lot recently has been nerd culture. And one of the things that I've always thought made me more of a nerd and the people who I've hung around with was that we really enjoyed making the unknown real. And there's been a big shift in the way that nerd culture is portrayed. And I think that it has a lot to do with the fact that the word nerd now carries with it a certain currency, a certain value, and it's the same as philosophers. I mean, who wouldn't want to be considered a lover of knowledge? People like those labels because it adds value, it raises their currency when they're able to associate themselves with it. But I think we've gotten pretty far off track from the concepts of what made a nerd in, say, 15 years ago to what we're calling a nerd today. And that's the background that I come from is back in 2000 hanging around the Carnegie Mellon campus, and I was going to Pittsburgh Technical Institute, and we were all basically trying to compile Linux kernels with different ext3 and different journaling file systems and trying to learn about them and understand how things functioned. And nowadays it seems like it's really been associated with a consumerist element, where to be a nerd is to collect all this cheap crap that they make in China and have it all over your shelves, and you're then a nerd. Or to be a nerd is to understand all the various storytelling mythos aspects to Star Trek or Star Wars or some other program like The Walking Dead or something that's popular, and just to know simply a lot about those characters and that world in which they operate. And I reject those things. I don't think that's at all what makes a person a nerd. I think when I think about it, it's the tenet that I do keep coming back to, that trying to take something that's non-tangible and actually bring it into reality and bring it into something that others can see, appreciate, and have this sort of experimental space. I saw this recently in theater here in Portland, where the theater still very much remains a place for experimental performances and experimental shows, and that is a certain kind of nerd. They will talk about the theater nerd, and I tell you, encountering those folks, they are much different than the kinds of things that we're calling a nerd today. They're much different than a Star Trek or someone who's just been sort of consuming the culture that the nerds have put out rather than participating in it. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that's been on my mind, and it's one of the things that really drives me to be interested in data, because I think for myself, going back to that root tenet, that data is something that does help show you and bridge between what's taking the abstract and making it real. Data helps do that, because we tend to be very poor estimators. The human mind is not very good at estimating various outcomes, or even understanding how to, well, I'll stop there.